Our attention to the internal crisis in the new Nigeria's People's Party, NNPP, which has started generating reactions. Party faithful lawyer to one of the founders, Dr. Boniface and Ebunam, have urged Nigerians to disregard the appointment of Dr. Juji Ahmed as acting national chairman of the NNPP. They say Dr. Juji is among the members of the National Working Committee that was disbanded and its members subsequently expelled from the party last year. They also added that every activity of the Senator Kwankwaso-led gathering of what they call non-members of NNPP is before competent courts of law, and that INEC, as the agency of the government charged with the responsibilities of regulating and controlling political parties in Nigeria, is in possession of all these documents and processes relating to ongoing legal actions. The party faithful have also asked INEC to discontinue further dealings with the legal group, what they call a legal group, pending the determination of all lawsuits filed in the Federal High Courts and Court of Appeal by Dr. Agbo Major Gilbert, who, according to them, is the original and rightful chairman of the party. Meanwhile, despite this pressure from the party faithful, the 2023 presidential candidate of the NNPP, Rabiu Kwankwaso, says the party is the best alternative for Nigerians over the People's Democratic Party and the ruling All Progressives Congress. Mr. Kwankwaso said this at the party's national convention on Saturday in Abuja. He said as a former minister and governor, he believes Nigeria has enough resources and manpower to ensure security for citizens, as well as build a stronger and united country. He congratulated the party for its achievements within the short time of its formation and lauded stakeholders for the speedy amendment of its constitution, slogan and logo at the National Convention. With the internal crisis of the NNPP and its control of power in Kano State, the big question is, will the party continue to serve as opposition to the ruling All Progressives Congress? I'm joined now by National Secretary of the party, Dipo Olayokun, joins me live on the program. Mr. Olayokun, thank you for joining us on Beyond 100 Days. Let's begin with the new party logo and slogan. What's the idea behind this?
Hello, Nifemi, how are you?
I'm fine.
Hello?
I can hear you clearly. Please go ahead.
So sorry, I didn't get the question.
Yes, I'm talking about your party's new logo. I understand that you also have a new slogan, Education for All. What informed that decision?
Oh, yes, our new logo. Yeah, yes, what really informed that was that in the last general election, we suffered some setback because of the logo we have. And to the extent that many of our members from across the country were calling the National Secretariat to complain that our logo was not on the ballot paper. And eventually, even myself, when I entered the polling booth, it took me some time before I could identify what INEC gave us in the ballot paper. And so it was later we discovered that because we had so many colors, it really affected the production of the ballot papers. And that was why we said there was the need for us to do something, at least to get something that will make it very easy for our voters, our followers to be able to identify, no matter the problem with the ballot papers produced by INEC. So, and then we look at there is a need for us to also move with time. And we look at the issue of education, which is germane in Nigeria today. Once you are educated, you have opened the door or you have the key to a lot of opportunities. So we decided to make education the key thing. And that's why we said our slogan is education for all. So I think what really happened is we were trying to learn a lesson from what happened to us in the last election. Especially because of the nature of the multiple things we had in that ballot, in the logo.
Well, your choice for education for all is quite unprecedented. You know, other parties would rather have a 7-point agenda, but it seems the NNPP is saying education is at the root of it all. But the Southwest, the NNPP Southwest has already reacted to this development, and I'm quoting the PRO. by the name Kilamuwaye Badmos, is saying the plan to change the logo wasn't officially passed to the members to seek their opinions, and so it cannot stand the test of time. They're saying it's an overnight move and it's not acceptable by members of the party. Do you agree with him?
No. It was a process that started immediately after the general election. Because after the general election, we decided to take stock, what really happened. And then we discovered from our members across the country, like I told you, that they had difficulty in identifying our logo on the ballot paper on that day. So then we now commissioned, set up a body to take a look, talk to NNPP followers across the country to aggregate their views. And it was unanimous that there was the need for us to change our logo, especially in view of what happened to us in the last election. So what you witnessed on Saturday last week was something that started almost a year ago. Because, like I told you, it was immediately after the general election, the very first NWC meeting we had, because we needed to look at what really happened. Because before we went into the election with high hopes, because for example, our president candidate was the only candidate that traveled to local governments, not to state capitals. And he visited over 500 local governments to sell the idea of NNPP to Nigerian voters. And the result we got was not commensurate with the effort put into it. It was then we discovered that the logo actually played a very difficult role in what really happened to us. And then we now look to experts.
Yes. Perhaps allow me to jump in, Mr. Olayoko. Perhaps time will tell how united the generality of the party is behind this decision. But let's quickly talk about the legality or otherwise of the convention held over the weekend. They say not only was the National Convention stopped by Federal High Court in Abuja and INEC duly served, some are of the opinion that all of you have been expelled, that you are expelled members of the NNPP. How do you react? That is laughable. It's unfortunate that the party should have been basking in the glory of what happened in that election is immense in this lot of crisis. You see, when you're talking of a political party and the structure, you have the National Convention, you have the BOT, which has not been constituted up to today. I want to emphasize that as of today, officially NNPP has no board of trustees. And then you have the NEC, then you have National Working Committee. In all these activities, the convention, the NEC, where NWC people are elected and set up, INEC must be present. As I speak with you, the current National Working Committee of this party was set up on the 30th of March 2022. INEC was duly represented and they have the record. So if somebody is sitting outside and saying that they have disbanded the NWC, that was properly constituted in the presence of INEC. And in the constitution of this party does not give any other kind of the party, apart from the NEC or the convention, the power to either elect or suspend. So a board that is not constituted officially cannot. And you see, if you look at section 83, subsection 2 of the Electoral Act, that talks about setting up polling conventions inviting INEC, it makes it very clear that any coming together that has to do with the election of officers of the party must be witnessed by INEC. So if you see INEC now saying this is the only NWC they recognize, it is because they were there when this NWC was constituted in March. All right. Let me say March 30, 2022. I hear you clearly, Mr. Layoko. The position of this other function, the position of this other faction, for instance, is that they say Dr. Ajuji is among the members of the National Working Committee that was disbanded, and its members subsequently expelled, according to them, from the party last year. But let's take a short break, and when we return, we'll talk more about that. Olayoko is the National Publicity Secretary of the NNPP. He joins me live on Beyond 100 Days. Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso is in the mix of this party crisis, and particularly when you consider the fact that he joined the party just 1 year ago, I think in 2022, when he wanted to run for the presidential election last year. The position of his detractors is that his intent is to hijack the NNPP for the Kwankwaso movement. Do you think enough respect has been accorded the founding members in this regard? It's
preposterous for anybody to claim, for anybody to claim Senator Rabiu has attacked the party. In a setup of a political party, it is the NWC that is charged with the responsibility of running the affairs and activities of the party, like day-to-day running of the party. It has nothing to do with Senator Rabiu. Yes, you call him a national leader because of the status he has achieved. Again, because he was the presidential candidate in the last election. So, to us, he's still the leader of the party by virtue of his position. And if you look at the running to because if there's a political party, and that is why if there's going to be any correspondence between INEC, which is the major regulator of the activity of the political parties, so if there's going to be a communication between INEC and the party, it must be signed by a recognized national chairman and national secretary. And by the grace of God today, I am still national secretary. I became national secretary on the 30th of March 2022. And when we came in, Professor Alkali was the national chairman. But immediately after the election, he decided to opt out. And somebody else took over. And that is why every activity of the party, whether it is the next meeting or the last national convention, the people that are supposed to write the letter are myself as national secretary and the acting national chairman. That was why INEC was massively, I use the word massively present at the last convention that we had on Saturday. They were massively present on the day we had a National Executive Committee meeting on Friday. So if INEC, because they witnessed how we came in, and because we needed to change some of our leadership, like I told you, Professor Alkali resigned immediately after the general election. So we needed to fill that position. And the position was filled. But we needed the NEC and National Convention to ratify. That was why INEC people were invited. And they were massively represented on that day.
I hear you clearly.
They had to
but I'm
monitor
sure
anytime you are removing or you are elected people. And they are there. So
I'm sure that as National Secretary yourself, like others, you'll be concerned about the exit of individuals like Professor Ben Agwe, there's Senator Sulaiman Okoye, Professor Rufai Alkali, and also the resignation of Abba Kawu, who was also acting national chairman under the Kwankwaso-led leadership. But you had the senator himself on Saturday talking about assuring consensus building and internal democracy within the party. If the NNPP is going to win a major election, it needs to put its act together and get back to being one big family. But how feasible is this, considering the current division that exists within the party? Mr. Layako, can you hear me? I'm asking about the feasibility of the NNPP working together with the quantum of division that we currently, see within your party.
I didn't get your question clearly, but I think you are talking about the problems and how we can come together. I want to assume that's the question. Yes.
Exactly my point. Please go ahead.
Yes, let me tell you something. Yes, there were issues immediately after the election. Some people were discovered to have played anti-party roles in the last election. And when you have a chairman of your party, 2 days to election, now telling the whole of the people in the state that they have teamed up with another party when the national was not involved. All these things were looked into after the election, and some of them were sanctioned. So they now came together and then they now said they have formed a faction. But you can only form a faction once you are still a member of a party. But once you have expelled or suspended, you can't form a faction. And so, when they wanted to have this convention, they went to court, telling the court to stop us from having the convention. That was why we postponed the convention on 2 different occasions, because we wanted to be law-abiding and because of the respect we have for the court. But the court now came out openly. The judgment is here with me. Maybe I will send it to you at TVC. The court said, the matter brought by these 2 guys, that the court said he cannot stop the convention. That the NNPP should go ahead with the convention. We are not abiding. It was after this judgment that we have to write to INEC, because when the matter was in court, we told INEC that we were going to suspend our convention because of the matter that was in court. And the moment the court gave a ruling that he has not seen the new reason or a sufficient reason for it, that's the court, to stop the convention, we wrote to INEC again and attached a copy of the judgment. So I think if you are talking about judgment or you are talking about rule of law, once a court rules, but when you see some people, the same matter, they will take it to 2 different courts, which is an abuse of court processes. But that is not our issue. Our issue is that we have a legitimate court order that says, okay, we have listened to the 2 parties, you guys go ahead with your convention. The ruling is here. And so we wrote to INEC that the convention we suspended, we want to reactivate it. And we attached the judgment. And that was why INEC covered all our events. Because don't forget that before you can have a convention, there must be a delegate selection.
Indeed.
And we also did what we call congresses in some states that have been dissolved. INEC was there because we told them we already have a court judgment that has given us the go-ahead to continue.
Mr. Olayokun, we have
a very solid legal department.
We have just about,
after looking at it,
if you can hear me, Mr. Olayokun, we have just about 2 minutes to go, but I want to get your opinion on the quality of opposition you think the Tinubu administration is getting. Just today, 60 PDP House of Reps member called for the immediate resignation of the party's acting national chairman. A few weeks ago, NLC was protesting the Abure-led Labour Party, and we can also see what's happening with the NNPP. Do you think this administration is getting the quality of opposition it needs? Mr. Olayokun, I'm asking if you think this administration is getting the quality of opposition it needs to perform.
Yes, if you listen carefully to the speech by the national leader, and he's an experienced politician, a 2-term governor, a former minister, a senator. We in NNPP don't believe in opposition. Rather, we believe in what we call constructive engagement with the government. Because we believe that once elections are over, a government is formed, I think the issue of opposition should be taken to the back. We believe so much in constructive engagement. When the government is at fault, you point it out to them. So we don't see our party as a member of the opposition. We don't, because we are practicing a presidential system of government. We are not practicing parliamentary. So rather, we believe as a party, we should point out the failures of the government to them. And by the time the electioneering will start, maybe in another 2 years, that will now begin to jostle for power or hustle for power. For now, we don't believe so much in opposition, especially that word opposition. What we believe that we have a government in place, everybody should join hands with the government, but when the government faults or falters, we need to point it out to them. I think that's exactly what we are doing. I want to repeat, we don't believe so much in opposition, and we don't even like to be categorized as opposition parties.
National Secretary of the New Nigeria's People's Party, Dipo Olayokun, thank you so much for talking to us on the program this evening. And that's our program today, everyone. Thanks for being a part of it. You can watch it again at midnight and at 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am Nifemi Oguntoye.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu do solemnly swear